Welcome back to another edition of This Month at the TNM. This month we have a very special program. As many of you know, either because you were there or at least you'd heard about it, your organization sponsored the largest conference on independence ever held in North America. This was a multi-day melting pot of ideas, strategies, and visions, all converging on the single goal of independence and self-determination of Texas. To say the conference was a success is an understatement. Hundreds of citizens came to hear top experts and influencers discuss the future of TEXIT, politics, and self-determination. We'd like to give you just a taste of what went on during TEXITCon 2023. There were multiple rooms where speakers gave us both information and inspiration. Our days started off with what can only be called coffee with Claver. Apostle Claver started off quietly, but didn't take long to get everyone cranked up.
Do you want a free Texas? Yes. Do you want an independent sovereign republic of Texas? Yes. Do you want us to look, I'm telling you something. As soon as we declare independence, we're going to be wealthy. I personally believe that our personal GDP will double in 5 to 7 years. We will immediately be part of the G8. We will be a global power. We will have say-so over world affairs. I'm telling you, independence of Texas is good for humanity as a whole.
We were just getting started. The program had sessions on all facets of TEXIT and independence. The speakers were experts in their field, and it was great to have them share their knowledge and insights on the many different subjects that make up this mission. Here are just some examples of the wide-ranging topics that were covered during the 3 days.
Remember who these people are. The Soviet Union, the European Union, the British Union, and this American Union. It's the same thing. Control. And the only way you can free yourself is TEXIT. Defend your borders, defend your people, and do it via the power of the law. And people like Daniel, who have got the intelligence, and it takes a commitment above all else to keep going. When them people turn around and say, you can't leave the Union, you turn around and say, listen, that American flag, I respect it and love it and the people who fought for it. But it is morphed into something that them people who died for them flags didn't die for what we've got now. And you need to change it back. And the way to change it back is to go back to being independent, sovereign states.
I was a lawyer once, but I've reformed and I've atoned and I've repented. But one of the things that, because we don't really like rules, because there are all sorts of things that go in different directions. But one of the things in international law, when a country becomes independent, is that that country has a unique position in the world. So when you become an independent country, you no longer have to pay the debt of the country that you are seceding from. A populist touch to this, in the most possible sense of the word, is that if you become independent, you can send the bill to Janet Yellen, or better still, to Joe Biden. There was a man called Winston Churchill, who otherwise in some ways was a good man, not probably unreservedly so, and he said India could never work because India is not a country, it's more a geographical concept like equator. That's pretty much a put, I mean, it's eloquently put, but it's wrong. So in response to that, I think it was Mahatma Gandhi and who, of course, brought about this impossibility that was called Indian independence. And he says, first people ignore you, then they laugh at you, then you win.
Yep.
So now, that's lying on a state document. You see, we have to elevate our conversation beyond, I'm pissed, I'm mad, my guy lost, my girl lost. We have to elevate it beyond that. But I'm telling you, if we eliminate the voter database, the voter registration database, it stops them how to cheat. And I'm also going to be releasing a machine that can be made by each county that is not connected to the internet that would allow us to take back Texas.
The Republican leadership gets all the Democrats on their side because they promise them chairmanships. And then all it takes is, 10 or 20 Republicans that are weak. How many did you say are weak? You had 60, you're saying? 65. When I'm there, it was more like 80. So that's all it takes. That's what's happening in the Texas House. The battle is between the people and the Republican Party against the establishment and the leadership. I'm not talking about the Senate. I'm talking about the House. Getting back, that's because our leadership, our speaker, gives so many bills to the Democrats. They pass more bills than the Republicans do. Now, a lot of them are small, but they're all bad. They're all bad. But, there it is. So.
And the reason that happens is because whether it's Joe Strauss or Phelan, they buy loyalty from the Democrats by giving them chairmanships and letting them pass things that they want to pass. But at the end of the day, what it ends up doing is harming us and our agenda, and it's very frustrating. And I know Alan and I both fought against letting Democrats have any chairmanships. We didn't get anywhere with it, but that's something that needs to stop.
But I would never assume or presume to say that the people of Texas don't have a right to vote on something. So we as a legislature, and we as a state government should always give the people the right to vote. And I think the very first time you ever came into my office, if you weren't in a position at that time, you weren't there. TEXIT was not there to have it on the ballot. But we talked about the fact that this is a decision the people of Texas should have a right to make the decision on. And I've always felt that way. So there's a lot of things I might disagree with people about on other issues. I don't disagree about this at all. But there's a lot of things I might disagree on. But I've always said that the people of Texas should have the right to vote.
So even when it's overwhelming, we are the people to do it. And we will be equipped. We are ready to do it. The problem is we look at the monster-sized task, right? We see every day on social media or in the news or with our crazy conspiracy theorist neighbor that we can't win this. There are crazy things going on. Everything is upside down and backwards, and it's overwhelming. But I'm telling you, you don't need to take all the steps. Just take the next one. So everybody in this room is already an activist to some degree, right? Or at least you feel like you are. I'm just asking you to take the next step. Don't be content where you're at today. Push yourselves out of your comfort zone. We are all vital. Every single person in this room. I don't care where you live. I don't care if you're in the city. I don't care if you're in the country. I don't care what your skill set is. Maybe you're like me and you knew absolutely nothing.
Then you got to find ones who have identified the same source as the problem. Then you have to find ones who agree on the solution to the agreed problem. And then here's my favorite part. And I will give liberals the benefit because I'm a liberal. But I have two working eyes. Everybody knows, if you know me, I've said that. The university bias in America against conservatives is worse than anything you've ever heard. So anyways, what I wanted to tell you is the reason why I'm giving this speech is that TEXIT and CalExit will definitely happen. And the reason is that you as Americans do not have the willpower or the ability, and your experts don't have agreement to bring us together.
And so when that Biden infrastructure bill passed in September of 2021, when all the bad stuff happened that first year of his, that pipeline of just wave of horrible stuff that kept happening under Pelosi when she still had the House. A 1,000-page bill passes, nobody read it, no one was allowed to amend it, nobody knew what was in it, but we started to dissect that bill piece by piece on that. It was called the Infrastructure, Innovation, and Jobs Act. And in that bill, very deep in there, under something called the impaired driving provision, there's and that's their nose under the camel's tent to try and, come after our cars, and that is passive monitoring of your vehicle to see if you might be impaired or drunk. And it mandates that a remote disabling device, which is a kill switch, be put into all vehicles after 2026. And it has a backdoor way for a third party, including the government, to shut off your car. It will allow the government to track you illegally without a warrant. They can do it by cameras and you swerving too much. And once you swerve 1, 2, maybe 3 times, it's going to warn you in 100 feet you're going to lose power, so you better park somewhere.
The modern world does not see any divine meaning or purpose around us. So the modern world sees the ultimate goal as conforming the world to my own desires and my own ambitions. And in that context, prayer and virtue and wisdom are irrelevant. Instead, what becomes incredibly relevant is science, technology, and the state. And they're used as means of manipulation and coercion. And then the great lie that they perpetuate is that we are most free. In other words, the world is most conformed to our desires when they're in charge, when the experts are in charge who have the ability to bring about that kind of conformity.
And so in my novel, people are not succeeding from a nation, they're not voting on it. They're starting over because it's nothing left. There's no federal government to send your taxes to, or no Congress people to vote. And I think if an independence movement develops, and I think it will, I think it will develop out of chaos. And I think we see that approaching us. I think a lot of people do.
So this is the first time in human history political power and financial power has been separated. In the past, you won a war, right? You killed the other guy, took his gold, and then rewrote the rules in your favor. It's the story of empires, right? That's what happens. And you know what it's driven by? Economics, sovereign debt. No one pays back their sovereign debt. Everyone spends themselves out of existence, then gets really ornery and fights with someone and takes their stuff. That's the story of human history. This is the first time that it's been separated. And I'm going to illustrate to you what are the applications of how we can, as a community of people, take advantage of that. The key is to think about others in addition to yourself. Have you ever heard that before? Yeah. I wonder where I heard that before. There's a guy, unbelievably, if you read your Bible, you knew about that long ago, but there's a guy named John Nash who won the Nobel Prize for his contribution to game theory in 1994 because he said, hey, we all win if we consider others in addition to ourselves. I'm going to take a Bible verse and get a Nobel Prize. He really did. That was a movie. The Beautiful Mind was made about that. Win-win. This is the concept of why people out there that I got into crypto, and the crypto I got into went up 10,000 times. $100 became $1 million. And for a lot of you, you're like, that's not real money. And that's exactly what my wife said every single time I sat at the dinner table and said, hey, that crypto thing? Yeah, doubled again. Until I bought my daughter a car for her 16th birthday, my wife thought that is just made-up internet money. But here's the thing. Our made-up internet money is better than the government's made-up internet money.
There was even time for a fancy gala one evening during the event. This was a special party for members of the Line in the Sand Society, and a bunch of patriots put on their boots and bling to enjoy drinks, fellowship, and a nice dinner. Several special people were recognized for their work in pushing our cause forward, receiving beautiful swords for their efforts. Everyone was moved when Dean Ross shared a very personal story about how he ended up crossing his line in the sand. As we were wrapping up the conference, we had a presentation that featured some of your organization's OGs, or Old Guard. These are members from the formative days of the TNM and represent the best qualities of our leadership. Led by Nate Smith, Executive Director, Daphne Armour, Chief of Staff, Regina Ross, our Membership Director, and Kara Miller, Director of Operations. The plan was to have them answer why they originally had crossed the line in the sand and how they stay over that line. What actually happened turned into a very personal, powerful, and moving testimony that left few dry eyes in the house. I think this session proved to everyone there that we are not just members of an organization working for the independence of Texas. No, we're a group of flesh and blood human beings, patriots, Texians, all working and supporting each other in our common desire for control over our futures. If you were there, I'm sure you came away feeling the way I did. We're a family in every sense of the word, and I'm proud to stand among you. Every good thing has to come to an end, and what better way to wind things up than to hear thoughts from our tireless leader, Daniel Miller. Daniel inspired us with how and why Texas will be independent. Then he put on his coach's hat for some final words.
Each and every one of you has a role to play in our victory. Each and every one of you made a conscious decision to take time out to buy a ticket, come volunteer, to get a hotel room, or sleep in the bed of Earl's pickup truck. I'm not going to call out whoever that is. But you did whatever it took. So today I ask you, as we wrap up the TEXIT Conference, every single day, remember why you do this. Every single day, cross that line in the sand. Make your decision to serve the people of Texas and to make Texas an independent nation. And then get to the walls. And then today, and all these future days, one day in the future, we will all look back at these moments and cherish them. Because not everyone is going to have memories like this. Not everyone will participate. But you, courageous, brave, motivated, any other adjective, you will be able to know that you played a part in creating a brand new nation on this planet. The brand spanking new Republic of Texas. I should have left it there, but then it would be horrible, right? Because I did not say the thing that I always leave you with. Not something that I say, but they're the words of Sam Houston. When he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations, I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Thank you all very much.
As the conference came to a close, we bid a fond farewell to our fellow TNM members and scattered to the four corners of our state, with some even returning to far reaches of the globe. It was a great time, and I'm glad I got to participate. I know there are a lot of people wanting to see the videos from the conference. We're working on getting them released, but there are several issues in getting them out to you. We'll keep you informed as to how you can access them as soon as possible. Thanks again for joining us this month, and I look forward to seeing y'all again next year.